I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology. Welcome to Astrobabble.
Hello, I'm Lynda from Scallywag Astrology.
And today we're going to be talking about the full moon in Libra. And that's going to be happening at 26 degrees of Libra.
Yep. And full moons are about a time of harvest. You've sown the seeds at the new moon, and at the full moon you reap. So this is a time of ending sometimes, but quite often it's a high point or a culmination, something coming to a completion.
Yeah. And while you're getting up the chart, I can talk about the moon mansion. It's going to be in the 17th moon mansion. That's good for buying, back in the old language is beasts, so that would be good for pets. It's also good for flocks, so chickens, if you have that time of season. It's a good time for besieging. It's good for love will last. Good for buying jewelry, good for building. It is not good for water travel. Water travel will end in sorrow, so I wouldn't start that during this moon mansion. Not during the whole cycle, but just during that mansion.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like good advice.
Yeah.
A lot of Venusian type things there, good for jewelry and marriage. So very nice. Interesting that it's not good for water travel, with Libra being the exaltation of Saturn, and Saturn being associated with shipwrecks, amongst other things. So yeah, quite interesting how that ties in.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, so this moon is ruled by Venus, and Venus is exalted at the moment, finally, in the sign of Pisces, after being in Capricorn and Aquarius for so long. She finally escaped being besieged between Saturn and Mars, and made it all the way to Pisces. So yeah, she's in a happier place.
She is in a happier place. The first part, she was in her own terms even, so she was really feeling good a few days ago before the full moon. Yeah, she was in her own terms, so that hopefully we've all been experiencing some better times with Venus getting free of Mars and out of Aquarius as well. So shall we start going on with the full moon? If you're a Libra sun, moon, or rising, this is going to be happening in your first house. This is where would be finishing up a project, or if you were thinking about, dyeing your hair, this would be a good time to complete that. Any of those completing processes that you're wanting to do for yourself. This is also a good time for like a full moon, so the moon's going to be shrinking. It's a good time to get healthier. Watch what you're eating. It's more beneficial to lose weight during this time when the moon is shrinking.
Yeah,
another Venusian thing.
Yeah, it's the same with the hair. I was thinking when you were talking about dyeing your hair, and that very Venusian. And if you are a Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, this will be happening in your second house, which is your resources. So this could be related to your income or income streams. It may be that you have a bonus come through at this time, or it's also our possessions. So it could be that you're buying something at this time, or have finally paid off maybe a large investment in something, perhaps jewelry, painting, art, that sort of thing would be really good with those Venusian themes. But yeah, usually it's resources, things that are useful to you.
Oh yeah, that for certainly works with the second house. With the third house, if you are a Leo rising sun or ascendant, it really works with the ascendant better. So I'm just going to continue saying with the ascendant. If you don't know your ascendant, you can try working with the sun or the moon, depending on if you were born at night or a day, would even work better. That would be the luminary I would go for, whether you're going with the sun or the moon. But with the ascendant, if you were born, we're on Leo, right? Leo is the ascendant. Yeah, this full moon is going to happen in your third house, and that's the house of community. So if you had, started a community project, this would be a good time to, get everybody together and finish up that park beautifying project you were thinking about starting, or anything that has to do with community, or, even your siblings or relatives, extended relatives, cousins. If you wanted to do something, you're at the full moon is when those projects will come together a little nicer, and especially with Venus.
Yeah.
Venus it does bring people together. That's what she tries to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And if you're a Cancer, sun, moon, or ascendant, this will be happening in your fourth house. So this is your home and your living situation. It's also your parents and your roots, your heritage. But for a lot of people, this might have to do with their home. So maybe you're finalizing that sale of that house. You've just bought your first house, or maybe it's not the first, or it could be something that you've been doing with the house. It could be related to your parents. Your parents are coming to some sort of completion or ending. It could be something like they're moving from their house to a smaller house. Maybe they're moving into, say, a retirement village, or it could be for, couples whose kids have gone off to university or wherever. They're empty nesters now. There's some sort of ending or completion around home, living, and perhaps parents.
Okay, so if Gemini is your rising sign, this is going to happen in your fifth house, and this could have something to do with your kids. It could have something to do with a creative project that you're wanting to do, or it could have something to do with if you're wanting to, go see a show, any of that theater kind of thing. So this is the energy of when probably you're going to be doing more of that than
it's a fun house, the fifth house, isn't it?
It is a fun house. Yeah, that is where the fun happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Venus has her joy in that house, so kind of very nice.
Yeah.
And if you're a Taurus, sun, moon, or ascendant, particularly ascendant, this will be happening in your sixth house, which unfortunately isn't anywhere near as much fun as the fifth. It is associated with illness. It's also pets, and it can be associated with work, maybe employees. So this may have something to do with a pet. Maybe something's coming up with the pet, some sort of ending, not necessarily death. It could be something like, you've been taking Fido to behavioral lessons or obedience classes, and he graduates at this time. It could be something to do with an illness. Maybe an illness is coming to some sort of completion at this time. Maybe you've been waiting for an operation and it happens at this time, and that's something that could happen. Or it could be something to do with employees or with those that you work with. Maybe somebody you work with is moving on to another job or is retiring. So yeah, those are the sort of sixth house associations that I would expect.
Yeah, or join the military. That would be another thing that would be with the sixth house.
Yeah.
The house of service. So any of those service careers would be something that you might be looking at to do. So if you are an Aries, this is going to be happening in your seventh house. So that's going to have a lot to do with your one-on-one relationships. So those might be, so some things that you're planning on doing with like one other person might be coming together, finishing up those plans. And so that's where the influence of the moon's going to be hitting you at.
Yeah. And if you're a Pisces, sun, moon, or ascendant, this will be happening in your eighth house of other people's money. So this could be joint finances, perhaps you're going into business with somebody else and, you know, the paperwork is signed at this time. It could be a case of divorcing couples where a financial agreement is reached at this time. It could be a time where inheritances are finalized, or it could be a loan comes through, taxation matters are settled, or an insurance matter is settled.
That'll be nice for a lot of people. Okay, so if Aquarius is your rising sign, then it's going to fall in your 9th house. And that has a lot to do with your philosophy. So you might be figuring out what you might want to do with higher education as well. So that's where the house of, you know, legal matters might be coming to an end, or really ramping up to, you know, start finishing up. So yeah.
And if you're a Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising, this is happening in your 10th house of career. So this could be some sort of high point of a career or public reputation, because while it is usually associated with career, it's kind of what we're known for. It's, for some reason, we've got the spotlight on us because this is when the moon is the brightest. It is going to shrink after this, but at this time it is the brightest it will be. So I often see this with people getting married, or, you know, having a baby or something like that. You know, there's a lot of attention on you. So, but this could be, like I said, a high point in the career, maybe you finishing up an important presentation. It can also be authority figures. So it could be a boss is leaving or retiring or something similar. I would think more you're finishing up a presentation, or for whatever reason, you've got more attention on you at this time.
Yeah, very in the 10th house. That's what you're known for. So yeah. Yeah, that would happen more. So we're on to the 11th house. And if you're a Sagittarius, the full moon is going to happen in your 11th house. And that's going to have a lot to do with groups and friends, maybe. And being a Sagittarius, it might have to do with far away friends or foreign friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll happen in your 11th house. So groups, so things that you have been doing with groups, is that is the house that belongs to, is groups. So things very might be coming to an end, or you might be finishing up something, or something along those lines.
So if you're a Scorpio, sun, moon, or ascendant, this will be happening in your 12th house, which is traditionally the house of our undoing, or as Donna likes to say, escapism. So this could be kind of good in a way. This could be the end of self-defeating habits, of maybe an addiction. Perhaps if you've been working towards trying to overcome something like that, this could be a time when you reach that. For people that are in, say, Alcoholics Anonymous or something, this could be a time where perhaps you reach an important milestone, like a 30-day chip, or, you know, 1 year sobriety, something like that. And yeah, this is also a house of retreat and places of confinement. So this is places like prisons and hospitals and say monasteries and that, you know, or religious retreat or solitude. So it could be to do with high points or endings to do with those sorts of matters as well.
Yeah. It should be what Libra or what Venus tries to do, and the moon happens to be in Libra. So Venus tries to get everybody inclusive. So in general, that's going to be the theme of what's going to be trying to happen, is get that inclusive and bring people together and get some commonality. We've been split apart for last couple of years a lot. So maybe we might be able to move forward with getting some more commonality amongst, you know, everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, Venus is in such a good position, you know, with her being in Pisces, but we've also got Neptune and Jupiter there, really, really close. And Neptune's quite idealistic and altruistic, you know, has a lot of good intentions, or can have a lot of good intentions, and that Jupiter is very generous and quite benevolent. So, you know, that's, you know, we do have Mars just into Pisces to kind of, you know, stir things up a little bit, but there's a lot of kind of, yeah, I think it's quite hopeful. And we have Mercury quite close to that Venus, which is ruling that full moon. So Mercury in Taurus is, you know, measured and takes others' feelings into consideration. And yeah, but then we've got Uranus there too. So maybe we're shaking things up a little bit. So maybe some surprises will come out. Hopefully good surprises.
It's always good to ward off anything going sideways, in my opinion. If you can, I think as long as Mars is anywhere, which is always the time, because we don't get to Mars never does take a vacation, neither does Saturn, any of the planets. They don't. We have to deal with them all. And they say we have free will. And so I'll stick with the Jupiter and Venus. I'm not so sure I'm comfortable with the Neptune. Neptune can lead to misunderstandings and errors. So definitely.
And even deception or outright lies. But yeah, I think with Neptune being so close to Venus there, yeah, I think it helps. I think it brings out the better qualities.
The nice stuff. Yeah, hopefully it does have that and a more nice quality to it. Okay, so did you want to bring up a chart for aspects? I can be talking about a stone. Tell us about the stone first. Okay, the stone that I am bringing is Selenite. And actually this is more of a selenite. It's more transparent.
It's very transparent, isn't it?
Yeah, where the other ones, and they're all called the same thing. See, this transparent one is the same chemical makeup as something that would be clear like that, or I don't know if you can really see how it's almost, it looks almost white. But this stuff is the same as this stuff. Gesso. It is this, it's got a Mohs hardness of like 2, so it's really, really friable. And it's the same stuff as this. This is alabaster. So okay. And yes, I have had this for almost 40 years, and yes, I have washed it. But because it is so friable, you have to like count to like a half a second underwater. It's like oh wow, rub it, or it goes underwater, and then I scrub it like I go with a brush real fast, and then under. I probably only washed this maybe 5 or 6 times. It's behind glass too when I store it. So, but yeah. So
the water can actually kind of ruin it more than the scrubbing.
Yes. Yeah. If you were to take this and put it into a glass of water, it will dissolve.
Oh, really?
Yep. Okay. So this is like a satin spar. It's got a Mohs hardness of 2. This one's called selenite. This is selenite because you can, it's really clear, where the other ones, they're just not. Yeah. They're just not as clear. This is a hydrous calcium sulfate. So if you were to stick it in water, it will dissolve. The woman who really got me into anything metaphysical, she gave me this piece. It's also the same chemical makeup as the other things I've shown you, but this is called angel wing selenite, and you can break off a piece and put it in a couple drops of a liquid and scry with it. And scrying is a
interesting.
It's a technique that you can visualize more than what you would normally.
Yeah, Nostradamus used to do that.
Yeah, there are stones that you can do that with that help. What you're looking for is something that you can almost like see through, but not really see through it. That's kind of misleading. But yeah,
I thought you were going to say that you put it in there and it dissolves and then you drink it.
Oh gosh, no, don't drink.
Don't take crystal advice from Lynda.
No, in fact, what I use this for, selenite is really used for healing. My husband puts it in a sock because it's friable. I mean, he puts it in a sock so he doesn't get these slivers all over the place. Because if you were to take your hand and rub it, there's like little shards of splinters that come off of it unless it's polished. See, this is polished, so that's not gonna, these things are not they don't hurt, you know. They won't have like leave little splinters in you. But yeah, that raw stuff, it will leave splinters, and it does it will dissolve. It will dissolve completely, almost completely, in a glass of water left there long enough. So if you wash it, it has to be fast. It has to be really fast.
Wow.
It is found in okay, it's related. Okay, so there are satin spar, and then the angel wing, alabaster, gesso. I think I've said them all. And it is found in Australia, Greece, USA, and Mexico. So it's pretty common. It's used for purification, and it clears congested, the congested etheric body. You know, so that body where the chakras reside. Yeah, so that's selenite, and it is named after Selene, the moon. So that's why I chose it for today.
Yes, I really like that. That's nice.
Yeah, has a
very good. And do you have an article about that on your website?
I am putting the finishing touches of it, and so it will be, I'll put a link or get a link.
That'll be in the description. Excellent.
Yes. Yeah. So
we're going to have a look at the
aspects.
Yes.
I think the first one happens, let's see, when is that? Yeah. So the new moon or the full moon is going to be what time? It's going to be at 2:55 p.m. on the eastern side. So the first aspect we have after that will be on the 17th. And that's going to be
Mercury and Venus.
Mercury sextiling Venus. So that's going to instill quick talk, or, you know, good conversations with that Venus energy wanting to be inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice communications. Yeah. Actually, this is the opposite to what I have in my natal chart. I've got Mercury in Pisces and Venus in Taurus, and they're sextile. But this is the opposite way with Mercury in Taurus and Venus in Pisces. So this is nice. Venus is, as we said before, exalted. Mercury doesn't have any particular
dignity.
It is in its bounds though, so it does have a little bit there. So yeah, it's nice. They're both in good condition. That Uranus, very close to Mercury at the time though, might be a little bit of kind of, it's not going to be boring. It's going to be fun and exciting and a little bit It'll be a little bit flirty, but yeah, flirty and a little bit naughty perhaps.
And so what is the next one? Mercury conjunct Uranus is going to happen on the 18th. So that'll be on the following day. That is going to have the same kind of energy of unusual thought, quick minds.
Yeah, I think really exciting, innovative ideas. The aha moment or the eureka moment.
Yeah.
And still really close to that Venus. Mercury is still going to be sextile Venus. And then on the same day, we've got Venus trining Uranus. So
sextiling Uranus.
Oh, sextile. Yes, you're quite right. Sorry. Yeah. So you've got the Mercury Uranus kind of innovative kind of, I always think of a mad scientist, in a good way, like your Einsteins, rather than your Dr. Evil, kind of a mad scientist, but, here's Venus. It should be interesting, should be fun.
It should be. That one is, okay, so the next one after that is Sun squaring Pluto.
Yeah.
And that's going to be on the same day, but just later on in the day. That could have a lot of changing or people who want to, or stubbornness. It could have a lot of stubbornness with that, associated with that kind of aspect, especially the squares. Squares typically are harder aspects, and they're not as friendly.
Sun square Pluto could be, I'm kind of thinking, a little bit demoralizing, kind of, it's challenging and tense. It could be a little bit, the thing that's coming to me is kind of almost like grappling with mortality, but I mean, it's not going to be like that for everyone, but it's just looking deep within yourself and perhaps not liking exactly what you see, and maybe, needing to take steps to change that. It's really interesting that it's happening at the same time as all this excitement and thinking and kind of socializing, and, maybe that Uranus is going to be a little bit too
restless.
Yeah, and kind of stir up, kind of like you can be out and having a really good time, but you get to a point where you kind of overstimulated and kind of, then you get a bit kind of edgy. So yeah, and you've had the high and then you kind of come down, kind of crashing down to that low.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a hard aspect. It very well could be. I think that's the hardest one. No, we have another one later on. Yeah. Okay, but after the sun squares Pluto, the sun's going to be moving into Taurus.
Yeah. So moving from Aries into Taurus. The sun's exalted in Aries. In Taurus, it's not exalted. It's not in a bad condition, but it's not exalted. It's not in domicile. It's steady, reliable, dependable.
Yeah, and Taurus is the ruler. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and with the sun going into Taurus, you're going to have that more stable energy. Hopefully, we'll see from Venus as well.
Yeah.
Even though we're talking about the sun, but the sun moving into that sign is going to be more of that stable Venus that we're going to hopefully see and experience.
Yeah, because we got Uranus sitting in the middle of Taurus. So yeah, it's getting it's interesting because we've had so many planets in Capricorn and Aquarius for a long time. It's nice to see them moving out into Pisces and Taurus. So a little bit more
gentler and gentler and nicer energy and places. I mean, Capricorn and Aquarius, they're Saturn ruled signs, so it's the hard work. It's hopefully this gives us a fresher breath of Venus. But then on the 24th is that other hard aspect that we have coming with Mercury and Saturn, and they're squaring each other. So, and Mercury is going to be squaring Saturn. Think that would be you want to get something done, but you have a lot of that stubbornness. Mercury is with the North Node. So hopefully that might, give some, I want to say benefic things or fun things or better things. I'm thinking that's, it could be, if things were structured well, it could be a good thing. It could start to have the energy of being the good thing. With that, Saturn is a square, so it is tense energy, but it could be long lasting as well.
Yeah. My only worry with that is Taurus, known for their stubbornness. We're talking about Mercury, so it's thinking, communications, and that North Node can increase. And then you're squared by Saturn. I think Saturn's kind of like, because Saturn's in Aquarius, it's an assign rule, so he's strong, and he's in the superior position, so he's got the upper hand. Yeah, I don't think that Mercury is going to take it well. So there could be a bit of clash on that. Mercury wants to do something, thinks this is the right way to do it. And Saturn's kind of like, well, that doesn't match up to reality. It could be, a time of people kind of, they tell you that it's black and it's really white. And, they're just absolutely refusing to, acknowledge something. To
even entertain a different idea.
Yeah.
Might not even work.
Yeah, just, and particularly with that North Node there, I think that could amp up that stubbornness. It's solid, reliable, dependable, but it can be very, very stubborn. And having earlier had that Uranus with it, might have had some really innovative, brilliant ideas and might not be quite ready to kind of accept that there's other realities or other ways of doing things.
Yeah. And then the next aspect is going to be Mercury sextiling Neptune.
Yeah.
This leads to either really good communication.
Yeah.
When Mercury on sextiling. Okay. So it could either be really good communication or it could be really bad. I'm not moving. I'm not whatever you're saying, I'm not understanding, and I just don't want any part of it. Could be the negative
with
showing of that.
The sextile, it is a helpful aspect, but what I've heard with the malefics, or the malefics traditionally are Saturn and Mars because they weren't aware of the outer planets, but the outer planets are sometimes considered malefic in nature in some way. So Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and we were talking earlier about Neptune, how it could be deceptive or confusing and all that. So you've already got that situation there where you've got Saturn saying, well, be realistic, and Mercury is kind of like, nope, my way or the highway. And then here's Neptune whispering in Mercury's ear, kind of like, they just don't see your brilliance. And maybe that confusion. Sometimes with those outer planets, the trine or the sextile, it doesn't necessarily, it's not helpful. It just makes it easier for them to kind of cause a bit of mischief. So this Neptune could be a little bit problematic. Could be a lot of daydreaming, a bit of pie in the sky type stuff. Not realistic. And that Saturn's there to say, I told you so.
Yeah. And Mars isn't too far from, that Neptune either. So, and then on the 27th, we have Mercury is going to be sextiling Jupiter.
Mercury sextile Jupiter. Now that's a nicer sextile.
Yeah, this is a nice, it's a nicer aspect. This is going to hopefully bring, forward thinking. Yeah, some expansive thoughts. So, so that's, it's about that time. We've got Pluto at the end of that sign. So something's going to be changing, and we're going to need that forward thinking and the new thoughts and how things are going to run need to come out, because with Pluto at the end of that sign, something's working at that change. And I think that I think it's time that we had Neptune or Jupiter and Mercury working together and at least starting the conversations of what needs to happen.
Yeah, I was going to say that it just happens that the moon is conjunct Mercury here at the time. Like that, I've just kind of put the moon's going to move pretty fast. It'll only be there for an hour or two, but looks like around about 7 a.m. in the morning, would be a really good time. That's Eastern time for that big thinking, grand thinking, big ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading, I'll digress really, really fast. But if you want to have really good thoughts, I think Tesla did it and Einstein did it. And when you hold a heavy object, like, a flashlight or whatever, and you're about to go to sleep, you get your best thoughts when you are almost sleeping. I was reading an article and I thought it was the coolest thing. It was called the drop rock method or something, but it's meant to wake you up when that thing falls.
Yeah.
Because you have better thoughts. I just love that.
That's so funny, because like literally within the last week, my son was talking about exactly the same thing. I think he was talking about a spoon, and I don't know if it was them. I think he was talking about an artist, I think, but same principle. Something to do with dreams, because he wants to start recording his dreams, because he's into poetry and art and all that. But this artist, I think it might have been Dali or someone, go to sleep holding a spoon, and when it drops on the ground, it wakes you up. And yeah.
I think either side of that sleep cycle, either the beginning of a sleep or at the end of a sleep, because I get my best thoughts when I first wake up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm just trying to wake up.
Oh no, I love laying in bed and just thinking about what I could do. Well, anyway, we'll move on. And that was with that was the aspect of Jupiter and Mercury.
So we got Venus and Neptune next. So when is that? That's the 27th too.
Yeah, wow. That's gonna those are gonna conjunct Venus and Jupiter, or Venus and Neptune. And Venus has that conversation. So, those light conversations are going to happen a lot easier, with that aspect. Maybe even talking about, when you do that free talking with people, and you can bounce, creative ideas back and forth, would be a great time to set up a meeting like that.
And Venus Neptune can be wildly romantic. It's just, if you meet somebody at this time and you've only just met them, yeah, they might not. That's probably going to be very, very hard to live up to going forward. But yeah, that's a wildly romantic, knight in shining armor kind of aspect. Can be really, really great. A lot of fun. But yeah, if you've just met somebody, so what's this, the 27th of April, just be aware that they're human. They're going to have, feet of clay. Like
they're not all that, because they are all human. Hopefully.
Exactly.
Try to keep that in mind.
Yes. And then we got another little bit challenging one. Oh no, that's not challenging at all. Mercury and Pluto.
Yeah, this one encourages free thought with this one.
Yeah, powerful thinking, being honest, going within, transformative thinking.
Yeah, or speaking with when you know in a way you haven't ever before.
I'm just looking that Jupiter is going to be very close to a sextile to Pluto at the same time, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So Jupiter and Pluto. Wow.
Yeah. I think that transformational, maybe even want to change, you know, how you communicate, how you think about any situation.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And then we're going to have Venus really close to that Jupiter as well. It's yeah, it's a really interesting lineup of planets. You could almost say Venus, Jupiter, sextile Pluto, and Mercury trine Pluto. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm I know my calendar is filling up pretty fast with healing. Anytime you have those Venus and Jupiter in going into aspect with each other, which they will be in a few days. So that's why I'm going from the 27th, 28th, 29th, even 30th. Whenever those whenever those benefic planets are going into a good aspect, trine and sextile, those are all really, really good for the healing aspects of any kind of healing. So whether it's the medical or the metaphysical healing, whatever, mental, they're good aspects to get healing done. So even with the Mercury and the talking, if you have healing to do, that would be the day I would do it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that's going to be so close to the solar eclipse that's coming up on the 30th, the next day. But before that, we have Mercury going into Gemini, which will be on the 29th, but I'm showing it as the 30th here.
Yeah, well, it happens there. First of all, Pluto goes retrograde or starts stationing. So that when especially those outer planets, when they station, you can almost feel a shift with the energy sometimes. As somebody explained it to me, is like leaving an iron on one spot for too long. It kind of burns. It makes its presence known right there. That part of the cloth gets very, very, very hot. So it leaves a lasting impression. So when the planets are stationing and before they go retrograde or go direct, it leaves a mark there. And that's why I've been saying, you know, with Pluto at the end of that sign, it almost seems like something is going to transformationally change.
Yeah, that's interesting. And we haven't had any of the planets. I mean, the nodes have been retrograde, but we haven't had any of the planets retrograde for a couple of months. It has been a couple of months where we've had all the planets direct. So that's about to stop. Just before the eclipse.
Yeah. And then you were saying Mercury goes into Gemini. That's a really nice sign. Gemini is Mercury's natural house ruler or natural house. So Mercury has all the strength that it's gonna want being in that house, and it's going to be in its own terms. So it's like Mercury. It's really Mercury. I mean, Mercury's been making a lot of aspects for these last couple of weeks, and then it's going to go into its own sign. It's just going to be all Mercury, a lot of communication, which is good.
Yeah, quick, fun, gossipy, insatiable want of knowledge, very curious. And it's going to retrograde later in Gemini. So we have a quick peek at the eclipse chart. I know we'll do a episode on the eclipse chart, but I thought we might have a quick look at the eclipse chart.
That'd be great. On the 30th, that aspect that I was talking about, Venus is going to be conjunct Jupiter. Yeah. That's that aspect, which is a good aspect for healing. Probably a good aspect for anything else, but you know, I do a lot of healing. So, well, I do a lot of metaphysical healing. Yeah. Which helps the body go into the physical healing, in my opinion.
It's interesting at the time of the solar eclipse that it's going to have just Well, actually, it wouldn't have happened quite yet. It'll be 2 minutes away. That's not literally 2 minutes, but Venus will be at 27:55. Jupiter will be at 27:57. So they'll be very close to being conjunct there, and Neptune's still really close to it. We've got Uranus hanging out with that solar eclipse, the sun and the moon together, because solar eclipse is a new moon.
Yes.
With the node being very close to it. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and because the node is several degrees away from that new moon, that means that it's a partial eclipse. It's not a full eclipse. So in the scheme of things, those eclipses aren't as impactful as a total eclipse would be.
Yeah.
But at 10 degrees, 28 minutes, it's darn close to Uranus. For an eclipse to happen really close to a planet, I think it almost accentuates that planet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, that Venus, Jupiter, sextile Pluto as well. It will be interesting.
It will be.
But we'll get into that more next time when we do the eclipse episode. Yeah, we'll have a lot more information for everyone.
That sounds like a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Lynda, where can people get a hold of you? And what are you doing right now with your...
I'm doing readings. Yeah, look at the year ahead or look at your natal chart and see what it tells you all about yourself and what your strengths and what your weaknesses might be. I'm at Scallywag Astrology, which is astrology.scallywag.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all sorts of places. And what about you, Donna?
Well, anybody can get a hold of me through DonnaBAstrology.com. That's my website. I also have a Facebook group, Donna B Astrology, where in the private group we talk about astrology, but you can book through Donna Bar Consulting Facebook group, and that's probably the best way to, if you want to get a hold of me, just message me, or you can book through the Donna Bar Consulting Facebook group. We'll do a booking. Yeah. And I also do healing layouts, chakra layouts. So I forgot to say that the selenite, it does the third and up of the chakras
interesting,
for the stone, for the chakras that it uses. So so DonnaBAstrology.com is my website. Donna Bar Consulting is my Facebook page where you can book a reading, or just get a hold of me if you have a question.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please feel free to share, like. If you're listening to the podcast, you could rate us. That would be nice. Yeah.
This is a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.